Hello everybody, welcome to Bite Size Investments. We are still on our 5-month long road trip in US and we are currently in Bighorn Canyon Recreation Area and we are now on top of Sykes Mountain Trail, as you can see in our background behind. And we decided to film our next YouTube video to share with you more about our content.
Yeah, and this week we want to talk about the comparison between short-term rentals and long-term rentals. Which is better for you? What are the pros and cons? Let's find out.
Let's study the pros and cons of short-term rentals and long-term rentals. Short-term rentals are furnished apartments, homes, or even rooms that are rented out for short-term stays, typically less than a month. They are popular with travelers who want an alternative to hotels and often offer amenities like kitchens and laundry facilities. A popular example of a short-term rental platform is Airbnb, VRBO, or Away from Home. Long-term rentals are residential properties rented out to tenants for extended periods, typically ranging from 6 months to a year or even longer. Typically, a lease can be signed between the landlord and tenants to document the term of stays.
So what are the pros and cons? Let's talk about it. The first and main pro of a short-term rental is the potentially higher income due to higher nightly rate. For example, this short-term rental with 2 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms in Philadelphia costs $275 a night, whereas this long-term rental of the same house size in the same area costs $1,930 a month, which works out to only $64 a night. That's only 25% of the nightly amount of the short-term rental. The second pro of short-term rentals is that it allows flexible scheduling. Guests can cut short their stay or extend their stay on the go based on availability. Now, what about the cons? The main con of short-term rentals is the significant time and effort required to manage them. Imagine having to deal with turnovers and cleaning every other day and replying to hundreds of ongoing inquiries. The second main consideration is the higher vacancy rate compared to long-term rentals. So although short-term rentals command a much higher nightly rate, the average vacancy rate on short-term rentals is much higher too, sitting at around 50%. Some short-term rentals only get huge demand in a particular season and almost close to no demand the rest of the year, such as wintertime in Niseko for skiing. Short-term rentals can also be especially risky during a recession because they mainly cater to travelers. A recession typically leads to people losing their jobs or getting a pay cut, which will result in them traveling less, leading to vacancies and lower income on short-term rentals. The last con about short-term rentals is that there are usually more regulations compared to long-term rentals. This is because of a few key reasons. Number one, short-term rentals can disrupt the character of a neighborhood with increased noise, transient guests, and parking issues. Therefore, regulations aim to mitigate these concerns. And number two, cities might impose regulations to create a level playing field between short-term rentals and hotels that operate under stricter regulations and pay higher taxes in order to create fairness to hotels. Regulations on short-term rentals can include things like licensing, zoning regulations, and specific registrations.
Now, what about long-term rentals? The first and main pro of a long-term rental is the stability and rental income stream for the duration of the lease, typically 1 year. Because the tenants are staying put for the year, you don't get day-to-day tenants turn like the short-term rentals, making the long-term rental business much more hands-off and passive with less management required. Long-term rentals also offer stability even during a recession. Your tenants are local people who live there, work there, go to school there. Even if they lose their jobs or get a pay cut, your rental is their primary roof over their head and is the last thing that they will give up on. Rents may drop, but at least the property stays tenanted for a continued rental income stream. Furthermore, during a recession, anyone who was planning to buy a home but loses their jobs or get a pay cut will not fork out a whole chunk of money for the down payment to purchase a home, and instead they will rent. This further drives up rent demand during a recession and strengthens long-term real estate as a hedge against recession. Lastly, you get to thoroughly screen each tenant application before approving the tenant to stay in your property, which mitigate the chances of getting rowdy and bad tenants. This just means longer tenancy and stability. As for the cons, these include the lower nightly rate compared to short-term rentals and less flexibility to move tenants since they are locked in legally for the lease term.
So in conclusion, while short-term rentals offer a higher nightly rate, recession is inevitable, and we think that long-term rentals are a better hedge against recession because everyone always needs a primary roof over their heads.
So what do you think? Would you prefer long-term rentals or short-term rentals? Leave them down in the comments below. And if you want to find out more about how to invest in US real estate long-term rentals, reach out to us. We leave our contact down below. And check out our videos here and here. I'll thank you and I'll see you in the next one. See ya.